Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. This week, how would you like to stop hitting the ground before the golf ball? Basically, how would you like to get ball first contact? So important, isn't it? Now, I wasn't going to share this video with you today because I've done a few of these on my channel, but I've just finished a lesson just this morning with a lovely client of mine, Rick from Germany, who was striking the ground consistently behind the golf ball, clearly frustrating, hitting the ball on the ground. He was in his driver okay, but there was just no real power going in there. And I was in the studio here last night with my wife Laura, who's a beginner golfer, and she was doing exactly the same thing, hitting this ground behind the golf ball, and the ball was dribbling along the surface. Now, I gave them both the same drill, and it worked for both of them. And if it worked for both, I thought, do you know what? I've got to share it with you too, because I think it could help you. So that is what we're going to do in this week's training. I'm going to give you a 3-step process to this drill to help you basically strike your irons better. Plus, the particular bonus with this, it can also be enhanced to improve your driving. So stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to share with you an extra little tip for your drivers. So before I get into the video though, if you're new to the channel, this is one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. Press that little bell button, next subscribe button, you get notified every time I release a video just like this one. Plus, down in the description box below, just below the like button, is a full practice plan, summary of this lesson that you can download for free so you don't have to remember a single thing. Go and download it, it's completely free. Enjoy. Now, striking the ground behind the golf ball. Oh, so frustrating, isn't it? So what's actually happening first? Let's show you what's happening if you're striking the ground. Clearly, the club is hitting the ground, but what's the angles? What's happening with the body? Well, the body position, usually when people are striking the ground behind the golf ball, is behind the ball. The hand position is flicky. It's behind the ball too. So we're in this fit position. So we're often weights back, hands are back here, and we're in this position. So you can see here, it's not going to be very powerful because you're not getting through the shot, and the club is at the wrong angle. So what do you need, and then how do you go about doing it? Well, if you want to be powerful, let's talk about power first, and we'll talk about strike. If you want to be powerful, you need to be forward because you're putting pressure, you want to put pressure on the back of the golf ball. That's where the power is going to come from. If it's back here, you're like, I'm trying to put power, but I can't. So you've got to get forward. That's the first thing. So that's where power is going to come from. Then, how do you then combine that with the strike? Well, you're going to need to make sure, if the ball's on the ground, you need to get it up off the ground. Well, how do you do that? Well, you need to use the loft of your iron. So if you're back here, you've moved the loft away from the golf ball, so you can't get it off the ground. So we need to move the loft towards the golf ball, so if the loft of the club hits the ball will go up. Now notice this, if I move the loft of the golf ball, look at the angle of the shaft. It's angled this way, isn't it? So not only do we need to be here, if we're going to put power in the shot, we also need to make sure that we've got the angle of this club coming into the ball to generate the strike too. But there's one final thing. All this is well and good, but if you've got your weight on your lead foot here, and you've got your angle, aren't you just going to throw the club into the ground? Absolutely. So you need the third and final thing, which watch. You need to make sure that you've got some space through the impact area, which is, look at my hip here. It's out of the way so that I've now got space to come through the shot and at the same time hold all these angles, hold the weight here, and away we go. So how do you go about achieving all of that so you don't have to think about it? Stage number 1, and this surprised Rick, literally takes minutes, by the way. So the first thing I said to Rick was this. Watch this. Rick, when you're swinging right now, what you're doing is simply this. You are swinging to the top of your backswing, and all your weight, and Laura's doing exactly the same as well, all your weight at the top of your swing is on your back foot. Now the problem is, a swing generally takes about a second to complete. 3/4 of a second for your backswing, 1/4 of a second for your downswing. If your weight is all on the back foot, you have so much to do to try to get it back there onto this forward position. What most people do, and if you slice the golf ball or find that you're coming over the top, this is what tends to happen. You're on the back foot here, your inclination in 1/4 of a second is clearly to hit that ball. So what happens is you throw the club. Now the problem is where are we? We are still on our back foot, we're behind the golf ball, and we end up, in this position. Why do we sometimes slice it? Well, if you throw from here, you've created all this space around here to come across the ball. we slice our drivers, we thin our irons, etc., right? So what's the answer? Well, you want to make sure that at the top of your swing, your weight is stacked over your lead side. Now you may have heard many times, well, I thought I've got to make a backswing and transfer my weight to my back foot. You do, but this is what generally happens with the best players. I'm going to simplify this. They swing back to their back foot here, and just before they've got to the top of the swing, they're already starting to transfer. Now at this stage, it's too complicated, so how do you simplify it? All I did with this was Rick said, Rick, you do this naturally. If you toss a ball, watch this. As you're going back, at the top of your swing, where's your weight? It's gone forward. Yeah? So all these things are happening. So the stage one in this process, and all I did, this is the first step, there's 2 more steps. I said, just toss a few balls and get the sensation that, watch this, you are planting that lead foot, and that lead foot is the power generator to, watch this, catapult this arm. If your weight's back here, how do I catapult? I can't, there's no power. So feel the weight on the front foot, catapult the arm. Feel the weight on the lead foot, and then watch this, catapult the arm. So we tossed a few balls, catapult the arm. Then I said, look, we're going to walk to the golf ball, just initially, it's stage number 1, big picture, and I want you to get the sensation that you're pushing that weight, putting the weight into that lead foot, and then hitting the shot. He had gone from this careful position here to now, look at this, pushing the weight, catapult the shot. Pushing the weight, catapulting the shot. Remember, we're getting forward now. We're getting into that position where we can get compression on that golf ball. So let's have a look. So we do a few exercises, and away we go. So I've got that feeling now. In I go, and away we go. So really got aggressive into that shot there. Not a bad first shot of the day. So he did a few of them. I went through that process with him initially, and I filmed him. And what he couldn't believe is how his body angles were just looking so much better, and he wasn't thinking. I said, because you've been throwing balls for years. So this is natural. Get into that lead side, bang, and away you go, and feel that pressure. Second step, okay, was we said, look, you're going to need to maybe initially, if that's a little bit too out there for you, you might want to do some smaller shots where you don't transfer your weight at all. In fact, a lot of top players, you'll see with their irons particularly, they'll often feel like a lot of weight stays on their lead side, so they're getting here, they're stacked over the golf ball. I don't have to do very much. So this is another drill where you keep your weight on your lead side, keep it there, don't move so much, and then literally practice hitting a golf ball, maintaining that weight on the lead side. Now, there's one little thing here which we need to work on. When your weight's on that lead side, just get the sensation, you need to create some room, of your hip being pushed backwards to create space. If it creates space, you can now come through. Watch this. If I'm here and I'm literally just not moving, I'm going to chuck the club into the ground. You won't like that, so you'll flick. So watch this. Weight on the lead side, push back. Weight on the lead side, push back. Very different to asking you to turn your hips. I do not like the idea of turning it. Your hips, look, will move out of the way, turn very naturally if you just work on pushing back. If you missed my video on rotation, how to rotate, I'll put it in this top right-hand corner here. Go and check it out. So watch this drill. Nice small drill. Might not get to the green with this one. All I'm going to do is just swing back here, weight on the lead side, just small little swings, and from here, all I'm going to do, keep it there, and then push my bum back here. That's all I'm going to do. Small swing, I might just rehearse, move it around, push, push, push. Yeah, so look at that. Happy with that one. Yeah, some small little shots, simple motions just to get that compression in the golf ball, okay? So very simple chill. Feel the weight, use this left leg, or my lead leg, as an anchor. That is your power source. Now, that's going to help you keep that angle forward here, and then you're going to maintain angle by pushing it back, pushing it back, pushing it back. If you don't push it back, there won't be any room. Even with your weight on that lead foot here, you'll create room by standing up and flicking. So create room by pushing back, which then moves us on to how you can expand this drill to driver. So let's now have a look at how all this links to the driver too. Let's have a look. Right, driver time. So how does this link to driver? Well, look, what I see with so many golfers is when you want more yardage clearly with your driver. So how can this little iron drill, which is all about striking your irons, help your driver? Well, all of the best players, when they're striking their driver, on the way down, you'll see it. They're stacking their weight on their lead side. Now you think, well, I thought you're supposed to hit up on driver to hit it a long way. Yes, you do want to hit up on the driver, but you don't hit up on the driver by having your weight back here and trying to hit up, because where's the power? There's none. What you'll find is, look, we want the weight stacked here because watch this. When the weight's stacked, we are going to push backwards off this foot to launch this driver up in the air. So when your weight's there, you can do that. But imagine swinging driver back here. Where's the push off now? You can't, which is why when people get back here, because they want to hit driver a long way, there's no legs. Your legs are out of bounds, so you throw from the top, you hit these slices, you'll lose loads and loads of power. But it's scary when the ball's teed up. Going down doesn't make a lot of sense initially until you get the sensation look of this. You're pushing back, and watch this. That pushing back then catapults this driver through. As you push back, this goes forward, you generate the speed and the uplift. Now, just like the irons, do this in stages. Get the sensation, maybe initially, just keep it simple. Stepping forward, hitting. Get the feel like you're pushing into that front foot and then launching the driver. Pushing in and launching the driver. Don't overcomplicate this. I've seen when I've given this before, people are going, step, do this. Too mechanical. Just get a feel for it and then away you go. So a couple of practices maybe doing that. Get a feel for it. That looks pretty tight down there, doesn't it? Quite a famous hole, this one. I think it's the 12th at Wentworth. Let's have a look at this in action. So back here, back. Bit blocky. Bit out to the right. Come back. It's going to hit the fairway. Let's come back a little bit. Nice little draw, okay? Not my finest strike in the world, but not too bad. Hit the fairway. So let's just summarize on how you can work on this. So you start off just like before, maybe just feeling that there. Don't make it complicated. You might even want to hit some drivers where you do some small shots like this, where you're stacking the weight here, and then from here just push back the hip. Create space. The more you create the space, the more it's easier to keep the strength impact. Remember strength. But if you don't create the space, you don't push back, you're going to end up flicking. By the way, this is not about turning your hips. If you turn your hips, I haven't created any room. It's the pushing back that will give you the illusion that I've cleared or turned my hips through the impact area here. So let's summarize. Let's just grab my iron. So to strike your irons, we now know we need this. We need the weight, powerful. We need the weight forward. That's where power is going to come from. We need the angle of the club. Why? Because the ball's on the ground, you need the loft to hit the golf ball. Third and finally, we need to create space so that you can hold this angle through impact to keep that ball on the face. If you don't create the space, you're going to have to create space another way, which your body will react by standing up, probably leaning back and flicking. How do you create all those things? Simple. First one is just you do it automatically when you throw. The key is you putting the weight forward very quickly in the downswing. That then weight gives you a platform to push back from, pushes the hip out of the way, and enables you to hold this angle on the way through. How do you feel it? Just throw some balls. Get the sensation of planting that front foot, throw. Planting that front foot, flow. If you're left-handed playing golf, right-handed, just grab the frisbee. Plant the front foot, throw. Plant the front foot, throw. These are key elements into really getting this sensation. Helps you then get the catapult and hold that motion. We said look at the drill. You might want to start the drill where you stay more over this side, small swings to start with, just playing so it looks a little bit more like this. You kind of small swings, feel the weight stacked on that lead side, push back. So small motions, just stacking the weight here, move it back, and away we go. Small little motions initially. And then we said, look, this exact drill can be used for driver too. So follow the same process. It will really, really help you strengthen that strike and get more distance out of your big stick. Get some catapult on there. And if you haven't seen my catapult video, it's a big one. Watch that in that top right-hand corner. So I really, really hope you enjoyed this golf lesson. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it with one of your friends who could benefit from a video like this one. And of course, look, if you're new to the channel, this was one of your first videos of mine, thanks for taking the time to watch this. And if you want, press the subscribe button and the bell. It's completely free, and you can get notified every time I release a video just like this one. And remember, there's a free practice plan in the description box below. You can download. You don't have to remember a thing. So until next week, everybody, have a great golfing week.